another episode of Financial Freeway. My name is David J. Atwood, the man rocking the Ray-Bans. And today it's overcast, but thankfully the wind has stopped. We had a couple of days there of some pretty intense wind. We get windy days here. We usually get a couple in the summer, late spring, and we get some in the fall. And they're windy. Like, they're really windy. Like, watch out for the trees, kind of windy. But the wind has died down, and now we've got a little bit of overcast here, making it a little bit cooler. And everyone's complaining about how cool our January is. I'm telling you, in a couple of days, the heat's going to come. And everyone's going to start complaining about how hot it is. Hilarious. But I'm looking forward to the summer. I'm looking forward to running around the island, chasing more waterfalls with my Gabby, and checking out some of the more natural, breathtaking wonder of Vancouver Island. But for now, June is a little bit chilly. It's not chilly. I don't mind it. It's not summer. It's not June weather. The January. I love that. Anyways, I thought I'd talk a little bit today about the overarching concept I have, philosophy I have on success. And so many people think it's, and I can't believe how many people still to this day believe it's a lottery ticket. In order to be successful, it's a lottery ticket. In order to be successful in anything, in any aspect of life, it takes a couple of key components, and it really is. It's just a few key components. Number one, you have to know what you want, and that is a very hard thing for a lot of people to understand. You have to know what you want. So, step one, sit down, turn off the devices, sit down somewhere, get alone, put on some music, and just focus on what you want out of life. What is it you want? And don't let reality be your guide or your rules. Don't do something like think, okay, well, I want I want a sub-level condo because it's cheaper, and I don't need a watch because I have an iPhone that's got the time on it, so I'll just use that for time. And don't do that. Be fantastic with your mission statement, with your overarching, your goals of what you want your life to be. Number two, you need to find someone who's living that life, or is at least living, or is adjacent to living that life that you want. You know, as your fantasy adjacent neighbors. People. You need to find someone or some people who are living the life that you want. If you want to be a famous actor, figure out who the famous actor you want to emulate. You got inspired to be an actor because you saw this guy and you looked at the life he was living and you thought, you know what, that's the kind of life I want. Figure out who he is and start watching everything he's doing, and don't look at the end product. The end product is important to understand, but listen to him talk about his journey. Read the books he wrote. Listen to the podcasts he's on. Find the interviews that he's done. Learn about his path. If you want to be a gabillionaire, find a couple of gabillionaires and get a handful of them, so you can try to start to listen to them and immerse yourself in their thoughts and their ideas, and figure out what the commonality is. What's the common thread between them all? What's the common thread between that they all have in common? What do they get up every morning? What do they do? What do they eat? If you can't surround yourself with wealthy people, you're going to have to do it virtually. You're going to have to do it by reading their books, watching their interviews, watching their podcasts, whatever you can do. And that's part of what I did. When I was really young, and I'm not really young, but in my mid-20s, I had the same mindset about money and beliefs about money that most people do. And it wasn't until I started listening to people like Tom Likas, Dr. Drew Pazinski, Adam Carolla. I started listening to these guys, mostly because it was entertaining. But underneath that deep, thick, creamy foam on top of comedy and shock jock radio, every so often a little nugget of intellect would come out. A little nugget of wisdom would come out that I could use and utilize. And then I thought, well, that's interesting, hang around smart people. Well, then I started listening to Tony Robbins, watching his stuff, reading his books. And I started to think, okay, yeah, this is somewhere I need to change a few things. And I believe it was Tony Robbins I got it from, like, you are where you are because of the choices you made. So I had to be accountable. And I think that's another part. Okay, so I would say that's another stage in the game, is you have to be accountable. But let's go back a sec. Associate with people that are living the life you want to live. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to have to start setting some goals. You have the dream. The dream is to be a F1 car racer. Like you want to drive F1. You can't do it if you don't dream about it first. That's just natural law. So then what you have to do is start, learning more about F1. And then you have to start making the goals to get there. What training do you need? What's your diet have to be like? Who do you have to get next to? How are you going to get next to the people that'll put you in the driver's seat of a Formula One racer? So you have to, first thing you have to do is have that dream. Then you have to start being around those people, surrounding yourself as much as you can. Like, listen to video or podcasts, audiobooks. Just dive in as much as you can. And then you have to start making steps to get around and next to those people, because that's where you're going to really start moving towards your goal, is when you're around people who are already living that life. Once you get to that point, once you start to educate yourself, change your mindset, start getting to the parties, start getting to the networking areas where you can start meeting these people, that's where you're really going to start getting to the next level. You are not going to do it hanging around with the friends that are living a life that you don't want. If you've got friends that are living in a trailer, or they're getting busted by the cops every week because they're doing their peddling, whatever they're doing, if you're around people who are living a life that you just don't want to live, very simply, they are not going to be putting you towards that life that you want. Period. And for a myriad of reasons. But you need to, if you can't get away from the people that you're around right now, I would say start devoting more time to educating yourself, changing your mindset before you actually move on. But stop devoting so much time to the people who are living a life that you don't want to live. I am not talking about breaking up with them. I'm not having an official sit down with them, and I'm not talking about that at all. I am talking about simply, let's get some of this coffee here. Yeah, sometimes I make a cup of coffee and I just hold it all the way to work. I'm talking about simply just focusing on where your time's going to go. That is very important. The next part of this is you're going to have to be aware of your choices. Every choice you make. If you're trying to save money, you have to ask yourself, do I need a new car? Will having a new car bring me closer to that wealth that I'm looking for? And it might. Like, you might be a salesman that needs a new car. Say you're a real estate agent and you got to drive your clients around. Well, you want a comfortable car. You want a nice, big, comfortable car. And it can't be a garbage car. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be clean. It's got to run nice. Now, I would argue that you can get that with a secondhand vehicle any day of the week. And technically, the moment you buy a car, it is used. So buying a car that's a couple years old, just detailing it might do the trick. But sometimes you need to have that prestige, as long as it's pushing you towards your goal of whatever it might be. So just with every choice you make, start deciding, start really, really thinking about it. Is this burger and french fries going to bring me closer to losing the weight that I want to lose, or having the body that I want? You have to think about these things very consciously, because so many people get into autopilot mode and they just roll through life on autopilot. They set up and they go, okay, I gotta have a job. What do I need to get that job? Like, for instance, when I was trying to be a cop, the amount of stuff you have to have in place to be a cop in Victoria in the 90s, when I was trying to be a cop, was incredible. It had to be 2 years of education. It might even be worse now. 2 years of post-secondary education, a minimum, and you had to have your physical fitness had to be through the roof. You had to have no credit issues. You had to have some volunteer experience, which I already had, and you had to have the right aptitude, and you had to be accepted by your peers that you're going to be working with. There was a lot going on, and a lot of people work really hard to get through that entry level to get there. But once they get there, you watch them go on autopilot. They eat the same food. They stop going to the gym. They start getting to a, what's the bare minimum I need to get to survive, to get through this next level? What is the bare minimum I need in my world to get through to the weekend? It breaks my heart sometimes when I think about it. People work so hard to get the job of their dreams, and then they acclimate to the job and they hate it, but they refuse to do the work that they needed to do to get the job in the first place. Think about that. That is insane. So it's important to keep motivated and keep moving and keep making those right choices, and keep making those choices that are going to push you in the direction you want to be, and whatever that might be. And consistency, that is a real thing, and that is the hard part for most people, is the consistency. Get up, dress up, show up every single day, and that's when you start to make differences in your world. Really, really. Showing up is the hardest part. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, going to the gym is great, but I'll tell you, once you arrive at the gym, you go, well, might as well do a few minutes on the treadmill. Well, now that I got a warm-up done, I might as well do a few minutes lifting some heavy stuff. Showing up is really going to be the hardest part in any situation. But again, it comes to your choices. Everything is about mindset. Everything is. True success comes from having a decent mindset. Having a decent mindset comes from having a decent goal. I read a quote this morning, and it was the first time I've ever heard it, and I thought it was really, really great. It's not the consistency. No, sorry, I drew this off the top of my head because I just read it this morning. It's not how much you move. It's not the motion. It is. Looks like it's a little tight for parking this morning. Oh, you're gonna have to get aggressive. It's the direction that you're going in. That's the most important part. And that really is, get that direction, get it figured out. Oh, I'm getting to be a pro at this. When I first got this truck, I tell you, I was not good at backing this thing up. Now, I'm like a surgeon with this thing. Oh, yes. So, the trick is, honestly, point your rudder in the right direction. That's the most important part. And a lot of people miss that part. Consistency is important, but more important than anything else, the work you do, all that stuff. Most importantly, honestly, is making sure you're heading in the right direction. Anyways, folks, that was it. It's funny, I had nothing to talk about this morning, but I just thought I'd throw the camera on it and just see how much I could come up with. And there you go. I did well. I did good. Proud of you, Dave. Anyways, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out financialfreeway23.ca. And of course, as I always say, make sure you share the good word, because it is everyone's inalienable right to live a life of success. Thanks so much, wherever you are in the world.